My name is Chris Gamayo. I'm the Director of Clinical Services within HEALTHRIGHT 360 in San Mateo County. So we have 3 residential substance use programs, 1 mental health crisis residential program, and then 2 outpatient programs within San Mateo County. We are mainly a substance use disorder program, so co-occurring disorders, but then we also have specifically in San Mateo County, a crisis residential facility, and that is folks that don't necessarily meet criteria for psychiatric emergency services, but they are in a mental health crisis, and then they are able to be admitted into our program. We believe that everyone deserves second, third, fourth chances. We are definitely an equitable agency. We look at diversity. We make sure that all of our staff represent and look like and sound like our clients. And then our tagline is get better, do better, be better. And we absolutely feel that is definitely the philosophy that we work by, and it's all of us within the agency. We are always looking within ourselves, reflecting on how we could do better, asking our clients also, on a continuous basis, like, how are we doing as an agency, and also how are we doing as individual providers to be able to get to do better for them. Beyond direct client care, I'm not sure if there's much outside of that, like maybe some administrative work, helping out around the office, but for the most part, it is direct client care. So individual counseling or therapy. We also have group counseling, group therapy, and with that comes a lot of documentation. So we do bill. For the most part, we're drug Medi-Cal certified, so we bill drug Medi-Cal in our SUD programs. And the crisis residential program, it's a county contract, so we have documentation, but it's not as comprehensive as our Medi-Cal programs or drug Medi-Cal programs. Our substance use programs, everyone has to go through Access. So Access is the Medi-Cal point of contact. They have to go through it's a level of care assessment. So I think it's about 6 questions that they have to answer by phone. And then the placement person will determine if they meet criteria for a substance use disorder. And if they don't, then they're referred to other programs at that point of contact. If they do meet criteria, then they're given an authorization number. So for our residential programs, they can be authorized up to 3 months into our programs. Some clients actually say, I only want either 30 days or 60 days. And so they'll get authorized for that amount. And then after the 9 months or whatever they're authorized for, they can actually request an extension for an additional 30 days. So the maximum stay in our residential programs is 120 days, and that's with the approved extension. For our outpatient programs, it's a little different. They still have to be authorized, but the authorization is usually for up to 6 months. After 6 months, they have to go through another comprehensive assessment to determine medical necessity. And if they do meet medical necessity for a substance use disorder, then they can get authorized for another 6 months, so up to a year. And that's continuous though. And then our residential facilities, they could only at this time have 2 episodes per year. So up to 8 months within a year. And then once their episodes are completed, then they have to wait until the next calendar year. I'd probably say the trainees that we've had, maybe 3 to 5 clients. I think on average, maybe 3 clients per week, just based on their availability. A lot of times the trainees only have maybe 10 hours with us per week. So we take that into consideration. I take it into consideration. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, so I sign off clinical hours and I do both individual and group supervision. And we have that weekly, so I would provide that. And I can't really say what the maximum or minimum is, but on average, a caseload is about 3 to 5 per week, depending on what their schedule looks like. So at this point, it's myself providing clinical supervision, and that's weekly. So I'll provide both individual and group supervision per week. And we have a bunch of different trainees and interns right now who are AMFTs, APCCs, ACSWs on those 3 different tracks. So pretty varied. And then we also have a few other licensed folks within the agency that provide supervision for the ACSWs, because I'm not an ACSW, I'm an LMFT. Both in-person or virtual trainings right now and online. And the training database that we use, or training platform that we use, is Relias. And so a lot of the trainings are online. I want to say there's about 30 hours of trainings that most of our interns or even trainees get before they could actually start meeting with clients. So there's that. There's also a bunch of trainings each week that we have in group supervision, as well as individual supervision with myself. I'll provide those trainings as well. Another thing that I do is my supervision model is reflective supervision. And so when I'm working with a trainee, I do a lot of live coaching, which means I will go out, I will take a caseload or be on a caseload as a co-therapist with that trainee, and I will show them exactly what I do so they could see, different styles, different approaches, different interventions. And then after maybe 2 or 3 sessions, I'll then give it to them and say, you take the lead now, and I'll give them feedback in the moment. So that's been really, really effective. In the past, I've used the 2-way mirror. I've also used process notes, but they're not as effective as live in the moment supervision. For sure, it's a 2-way street. So I communicate as much as I can ahead of time. Also, if there's changes coming down the line to the trainees, and I'll need that communication from them as well. Even if it's something simple as I'm not going to be in next week. So I could help find coverage or plan with them on how to adjust their schedule. So communication is definitely key for a working relationship, and also for their success. Probably the personalities. Everyone has different personalities. They have different backgrounds, and that's probably been the most challenging for trainees in the past. It's not actually doing the work, but it's actually around navigating the different personalities and as a challenge, a clinical challenge. And so what I love about my work as a supervisor is digging deep into what those challenges are about. Are they cultural? Are there anything, is there something going on in the transference that may be a barrier? And so personalities and dealing with the various personalities has probably been the most challenge. The second challenge would probably be documentation and getting used to Medi-Cal documentation. Other than that, the work is great. I would say come with an open heart and an open mind, because what you learn in school is definitely not what you're going to learn, in the field and in practicum, because it's one thing, learning from vignettes in a book and actually doing the work. For me, that was a shift when I went from trainee to actual associate and doing the work with a supervisor. But it was also the most rewarding because I was learning from, I was fortunate to have 3 supervisors, clinical supervisors, in my practicum. So I learned from every single one of them, and I took in all the information that I could, which helped, mold me into the clinician that I am right now.